Welcome to Shay It Out Loud, the podcast where real conversations meet hard humor and honesty. I'm Shay, your host, bringing stories, insights, and a little laughter as we navigate life, growth, and everything in between. Whether it's mental health, parenting, or finding balance in the chaos, we'll dive in together. So grab your coffee, tea, or whatever keeps you going. Let's Shay It Out Loud. Welcome to Shay It Out Loud. I'm Shay, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to a space where we tackle real issues shaping our culture, unfiltered, unafraid, and unapologetic. Today's episode is deeply personal. We're talking about mental health in the Black community, a topic that hits home for me in more than one way. It's a journey I'm on myself, and I know a lot of you are as well. We'll explore the stigma surrounding mental health, the weight of generational cycles, and the truth about rest. It's not just a luxury, it's a necessity. And trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll feel empowered to embrace your mental well-being without apology. But before we dive in, I want to remind you of something powerful. Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. Let that sink in as we get through today's episode. And I have a mantra for you. I am amazing. I am worthy. I am enough. Say it with me. I am amazing. I am worthy. I am enough. Let those words sink in because they are the foundation for everything we're about to discuss. I don't know about y'all, but I always wondered, why is mental health such a sensitive topic in our community? For generations, Black families have carried the weight of survival on their shoulders. From slavery to systematic racism, our ancestors developed ways to protect themselves, ways that often involve suppressing their emotions. We were taught to be strong, to never let anyone see us cry, to push through no matter how we felt. You have to work twice as hard to get half the credit, and while that is strength, and it seems powerful, it also comes at a cost. How many of you heard growing up things like this? What happens in this house, stay in this house. You don't need therapy, just pray about it. Stop crying before I give you something to cry for. I know I heard them. I know y'all heard them. These messages shaped us. They made us resilient, but they also made us carry unspoken pain. And that's why we have to have this conversation. Because here's the truth. It's okay to not be okay. And acknowledging that is the first step towards healing. I want to share a little about my journey because this isn't just a topic for me. It's real life. I used to suffer from major depression and anxiety. And when I say major, I mean the kind that keep you in bed, that makes you flake on friends and leave you avoiding phone calls for days. I remember one period in my life where I missed work because I couldn't face the world. And when I did go out, I would sit in this little bubble by myself, hoping no one noticed me. And for a long time, I felt guilty about resting. I was raised to believe that rest equals laziness. Watching the women in my family, I saw them push through exhaustion, carry the world on their shoulders without taking a break. But I've learned something life-changing. Rest isn't laziness. Rest is resilience. Rest is saying, I matter enough to take care of myself. It's an act of love, and for you and for the people who depend on you. How many of you feel guilty when you rest? How many of you push through exhaustion because that's what you were taught? Let's break this cycle together. Now that we explored the why, let's talk about how. How do we prioritize mental health and break these cycles? Number 1, daily affirmations. Start each day with an affirmation like the one we said earlier. I am amazing. I am worthy. I am enough. Number 2, seek therapy. Therapy has been a game changer for me, y'all. It has been a game changer. There is no shame in needing help, and it is a sign of strength to seek help. Number 3, redefine rest. Rest isn't a reward, it's a necessity. Schedule time to rest without guilt. Number 4, build a support system. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and understand you. And number 5, educate and advocate. Use your voice to break the stigma around mental health in your family and in your community. I want to leave y'all with a little homework. I recently took the time to write a self-compassion letter, and it was one of the most healing things I ever done for myself. So often we extend grace to others, but we forget to offer ourselves that same kindness. And if you ever feel overwhelmed, stretched thin, or like you're doing too much or not enough, I encourage you to try this exercise. And here's a step-by-step guide using my very own self-compassion letter as an example. Step 1. Acknowledge areas of suffering without judgment. This step is about being honest with yourself. Instead of criticizing yourself for struggling, simply acknowledge what you're going through without judgment, without blame, just truth. Here's my example. I acknowledge that I've been carrying a heavy emotional and mental load. I've been struggling with stress, feeling overwhelmed by my responsibilities as a parent, partner, daughter, and professional. There are moments when I feel stretched too thin and trying to support my daughter and her eye issues while also making space for my own goals, like launching this, my very own podcast. I recognize the pressure I put on myself to always be strong, to always have it together, and to always be everything for everyone. The weight of expectation, both from myself and from others, sometimes make me feel like I'm never doing enough. I also acknowledge that lingering pain from past losses and emotional toll of consistently pushing forward even when I'm exhausted. And then there's the grief I carry, the pain of losing a child, a loss that reshaped me, that changed how I see the world, how I love, and how I move forward. There are days when the weight of that grief is unbearable, and when I long to know what could have been. But even in that, I remind myself that love doesn't disappear, love endures, even in loss, and that love is still within me. I will allow myself to feel those struggles without judgment or blame. They do not define me, and I do not have to carry them alone. Let's move to step 2. Recognize that your struggles are a part of the shared human experience. It's easy to feel isolated in your suffering, but the truth is, we're never alone. Many people are going through a very similar struggle, and recognizing that can bring you a lot of comfort. And here's my example. I am not alone in my struggles. Right now, there are countless people across the world who feel overwhelmed by responsibilities, who are trying to balance their dreams with their obligations, who are carrying the weight of expectations, and who are pushing through exhaustion just to keep going. There are parents like me who love their children deeply, but sometimes feel stretched thin. There are professionals like me who want to succeed, but battle with self-doubt and pressure. And there are people launching new projects, feeling both excitement and fear, wonder if they're good enough or if their work will make a difference. There are also those who face losses of stability, of certainty, who are rebuilding just as I am. People who have experienced setbacks, who have felt the sting of disappointment, but continue moving forward despite all of it. And there are those who know the grief of losing a child, the pain of imagining a future that will never come, of aching for a presence that should still be here. And in those shared experiences, I remind myself that I'm not alone, that my pain, though uniquely mine, is also understood by many others who walk the path before me. My suffering is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign that I'm human. I'm connected to a vast shared experience of people who've been here before me, who are here with me now, and who have found a way to heal, grow, and thrive. And just as they have, so will I. I hope this reminds you to extend yourself some love, patience, and grace that you give everyone else. And lastly, step number 3, offer yourself words of kindness and encouragement. Instead of trying to fix or solve the pain, this step is about extending kindness to yourself, offering the same warmth and encouragement that you would give a loved one. And here's my example. Shay, you are doing the best you can, and that is enough. I know you feel overwhelmed right now, and I know that you're carrying so much, but please take a deep breath and remind yourself that you're worth love, grace, and rest. You don't have to have all the answers, and you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you, and that's more than enough. I hope you give yourself permission to pause, to acknowledge how much you've overcome already, and to see the beauty in where you are right now. You're stepping into something new and powerful with your podcast. You're showing up for your family in ways that matter. You're growing, evolving, and becoming stronger every day. You're not alone. You're loved. You're capable. And even when things feel uncertain, trust that you're exactly where you need to be. May you feel peace. May you feel joy. And may you feel the same compassion for yourself that you so effortlessly give others. Thank you for joining me today and for allowing me to share a piece of my heart with you. Mental health is something that we all need to prioritize, especially in our communities. Remember, you're not alone, and it's okay to not be okay. Thanks for tuning in to Shay It Out Loud. I hope today's episode gave you something to think about, smile over, or share with a friend. Don't forget to follow me on IG and TikTok at Shay It Out Loud for updates, and catch new episodes every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until next time, take care, be kind, and don't be afraid to share it out loud.